Hello and welcome to UAT Time within the United Countries special by First Ukraine. You can find us on the frequencies available on our website firstuat.com. I'm Sergey Velichanskiy.
And I am Olivier Vedrine. UAT Time is dedicated to bring Ukraine and Europe closer to each other by introducing the real Ukraine to the rest of the world.
Movie making is one of the most effective ways to communicate national values to the world. Are we successful in this? Is Ukraine known for its movies, and will it be ever known?
Our guest today is Damian Kolodiy, program director of Kinofest NYC.
Welcome. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell us about this Kinofest NYC. Actually, you mentioned something that you did showcasing the contemporary Ukrainian film in New York.
Yeah.
How many, are we making the movies?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a new generation of filmmakers that are producing contemporary film, and one of our goals with Kinofest NYC was to present this type of work in New York, because a lot of people had this idea that Ukrainian film was just historical or really of low quality, and with the way technology has advanced, there's actually a lot more people being able to produce quality films. And our goal, we started in 2010 at Kinofest, was to present a venue for Ukrainian filmmakers to present their work to the public in New York. So, we built up a pretty nice reputation over the years of bringing interesting films and film directors from Ukraine to New York, and it was quite successful. I mean, it's mostly within the diaspora community, but there are also people, who are Americans and New Yorkers who are just interested in look something different, something, not Hollywood, and they would also come to our festivals.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting because, as we just talked, that it's true that a lot of people consider, old-time back Ukrainian movies kind of sad and low quality, but as far as you know, is Kinofest NYC, is it the only venue for the Ukrainian movies to come to the States, or there are others?
I know there was one in Los Angeles this year. There was some sort of Ukrainian film festival in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure who organized it, and there's one in Pittsburgh as well, which is, I think, organized by the diaspora there.
Okay.
And I think Toronto as well, that they have a Ukrainian festival, and they've attached a film program to this larger cultural festival. So kind of the appreciation for film, I think, is becoming more so than the Ukrainian community.
Then the diaspora is very efficient in US for movies, but not only,
Well, it depends. I mean, there's some diaspora organizations that have been around for a while, and they're very, they're very used to working in the way that they're working, and they don't necessarily involve or bring in new people or ideas. And there's, I think, younger generation of people who want to stay active promoting Ukrainian cultural things or diaspora things, who are kind of trying things differently and bringing a fresh perspective.
And this younger generation is more active, or?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, in general, younger generation has new ideas and energy, and they're trying something, more innovative and just trying things differently. So.
Well, it's UAT time, as we mentioned, that is dedicated to introduce Ukraine to the rest of the world, and I would be pretty much sure that most of the people that even when they saw us, they have never seen a Ukrainian movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it too. Well, no, I've seen a few. But seriously, as far as Ukrainian movie making, we're still way behind.
But it's come a long way in the past 10 years. I mean, you have filmmakers like Sloboshpitsky, who's filmed The Tribe, did really well. It played, in theaters in New York City. Babylon 13 became pretty well known during the Maidan Revolution. Marina Vroda won at Cannes Film Festival 2 years ago. We've showed Sloboshpitsky's short films at our Kinofest. We showed Tikhi's Goodbye Ukraine project before he did Babylon 13. So we've kind of seen some of these filmmakers evolve and actually achieve success on a larger level beyond, our Ukrainian festival and on the international scene. So it's heading in the right direction, I would say.
What are you out of it? What are you getting out of it? Like, why are you involved?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your
Tell us.
motivation for that?
Tell us.
Well, I'm a filmmaker.
That's okay. That's not what I'm
First
looking
point.
for, but that's okay. It's a good point.
But it's kind of nice after spending all this time applying to film festivals, actually taking on a different role and a different hat, and still working with filmmakers to showcase their work rather than trying to get film festivals to show my work. It's, you learn something different. You make some new contacts.
I think that is a wrong answer. Your background is Ukrainian, right?
Yes, my background is Ukrainian.
Okay. No, just wanted to put all the
Yeah.
things together, So.
Yeah,
Because seriously, it's good when there is an interest from the outside in what is happening in Ukraine. You're not involved in Mexico or Africa. You're here, so that's what I wanted to find out why.
Why? Because I guess I've always grown up I grew up in the Ukrainian community in the States. I went to Ukrainian school. I was in Plast. I speak Ukrainian at home, with my parents. A lot of my friends are Ukrainian diaspora that we kind of grew up together. So I played for a Ukrainian football club. So
Soccer or football?
Soccer. But so that's always been very close to me, and of course my grandparents fled during World War II.
Okay.
So they were political refugees from Western Ukraine. So for them, maintaining that Ukrainian culture was always very important, the language and the traditions. So I kind of grew up with that kind of environment, and a lot of my work's been revolved around Ukraine in one way or another, and making sure that people in America know Ukraine is not Russia and it's a separate thing.
That's your first motivation, I think, for
Yeah, because
festival.
for so many years, you say Ukrainian, oh, Russian, you speak Russian, oh, that's part of Russia. And it's changed a lot.
They couldn't even put the finger on the map back then, Ukraine, oh, is that somewhere in Russia? That's the way they used to say, in the States.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
Now,
But United States have problem with geography, because even they cannot put some country in Europe. But I want to know, you were on Maidan, on Euromaidan, and you did a movie, and you finished this movie.
I just finished a movie about Euromaidan,
Yeah.
or it starts
What is it
about.
called?
It's called Freedom or Death.
Okay.
Volia albo smert. And it basically starts with the student protests and just shows how it evolved into the conflict in the Donbass. The bulk of it is the week before Yanukovych left. That's that time frame is when most of the movie takes place, but I wanted to tie it to current events, so it actually starts with the crash of the MH17, and then it goes back in time, and then we go back and show how things reached that point with the MH17 crash, because that's kind of the thing most people would know, on the international scene. It's really, I wanted to make a film that would be informative and educational for people who don't know anything about Ukraine or what's going on. And in America, not many people really understand or know the details. It's just a very general.
So is it online somewhere yet? Or how can,
I am right now submitting it to film festivals.
Okay.
I have a distributor called Journeyman TV. They're based in England, and they will be having it online, or they're trying to get it up on iTunes in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So it should be available there at the same time.
Is there a trailer yet?
There's a trailer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you go to, with hashtag Freedom or Death?
You
or?
can just go to YouTube and search Freedom or Death documentary film.
Okay.
And you'll.
Okay.
But before Freedom or Death, you did another movie, The Orange Chronicles.
Yeah, my first.
Yeah.
I've been on Maidan in 2004.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I came here as an election monitor then and wanted to film whatever was happening, and I was going to stay for 2 weeks, and then things snowballed, and Orange Revolution happens, and I stayed for 3 months, and I filmed that whole time, and I made a film called The Orange Chronicles, which I think is different than any other film, and pretty powerful, because I went to the east and to Crimea on this caravan during the Orange Revolution. So I got to, out of Kiev, and you really see kind of the feeling in some of the other parts of Ukraine, which if you don't know anything, you kind of see how things evolve today. So I think the two films actually play pretty well together. I would consider, the Volia або смерть, Freedom or Death, kind of a sequel to the first one. They it's this history of Maidan.
10 years difference.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's my other question. Then you did a movie on Orange Revolution, and you did a movie on Euromaidan.
Yeah.
For you, what is the difference and the common points between those two revolutions?
Well, the tactics were very similar, where they pitched tents. People came from different parts of Ukraine, but the psychology was a little different. People weren't revolved so much around one politician. Euromaidan was very anti-politicians, where during Orange, people had this idea that Yushchenko was going to come and fix everything, kind of like he was almost a Christ figure. So, that psychology has changed and evolved, I think, for the better, where people aren't dependent on some, politician to do it. But obviously, Orange Revolution was peaceful, and that was reinforced throughout. And it was known as, the only nonviolent, bloodless revolution, and Euromaidan was not.
Yes, of course.
Unfortunately, yes. So did you get some of the final days of Euromaidan on your documentary?
Yeah.
The
18th,
shooting?
19th, and 20th is the focus of those 3 days. Or originally, I was going to do a film called 3 Days, of Ukrainian Revolution that focused on those days.
That would have been.
So the bulk of the film is those 3 days. Yeah.
This Freedom or Death is more documentary or movie, or which sort of?
It's acting there pretty much?
No,
or?
there's no acting. It's a documentary, both Orange Chronicles and this one. I chose to tell the story through my voiceover, through my point of view, which is basically, because I feel that's more personal. It's relatable, and it makes it a little more unique than maybe other films, because it's kind of through my perspective as a American filmmaker of Ukrainian heritage. Gives me kind of maybe a little different access or perspective on the events, and so both those films have that kind of narrative thread, but obviously they're all documentary.
And for which festival you will put this new movie? In which festival you will?
Well, it's not up to me to decide which festival, but I applied to Sundance, I applied to Berlin, a bunch of others, South by Southwest, Rotterdam, but it's it's a wait and see game for me now, because I put in the application, and
and there are a lot of other submissions.
There's other films on the topic,
criteria they use.
And for some people maybe it's last year's news, so I don't know, it depends. I mean, obviously Winter and Fire came out, and that's getting a lot of attention, so people are interested in the topic, or at least audiences are. I don't know. Film festival
or the organizer, the programmers could say, "Oh, it's too much of this. Let's kind of."
Could, There's a lot of variables involved.
You never know.
Yeah.
But hey, we wish you luck. We wish you success on that. You've done, this work, and whenever you have it, available for the Ukrainians to see.
It'll be playing here at the America House on November 21st.
Look at this, November 21st.
November 21st.
America House.
In
Kyiv.
Yeah.
All right.
That'll be the English version. There's a Ukrainian language
English
version. And there's an English version.
Special for UAT time.
Yes. That's cool. Okay.
That's cool. Yes, good news.
What do you think? How the American perception of what is going on? Well, it's one thing for you, since you are kind of all, in between of natural Ukrainians living in the States. It's a little different, but your view on the Americans, how do they view what's happening?
A lot of them don't know what's going on, but they know that there's some conflict going on. I don't think they really understand it, the depth of it, or why it's happening. And that's one reason why I feel my film is important. But I was surprised when Maidan was happening how many of my American friends were paying attention and commenting on Facebook and really kind of getting interested in it at the time anyway. It was pretty impressive. I mean, I was surprised. I guess it was getting a lot of media coverage in the States then. So people are aware that there's conflict here. I mean, the perception now, I guess, is probably the same as Europe, where they think like there's a war zone.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't understand that Kyiv is far from Donbass and it's kind of calm and quiet here. You know, they assume it's kind of chaotic and it's,
everywhere.
Yeah.
Plus, let alone they don't get all the details and all the nuances of the why and what's the big deal and what are they fighting for.
Yes, I think in US like in Europe now, Ukraine is a war, non-zone war, non-zone law, something in the east.
Yeah.
And Ukraine is not in a lot of media in Europe now, and everybody talk now about Syria. But no one now take care about Ukraine.
That takes a lot of attention as well. But, I guess I can understand the Americans or the Europeans, just like I being here in Kyiv, Ukraine, I can't get all the details about Syria.
Yeah.
You know, who is shelling against who, and
there's a lot of different factions there.
Yes. So same thing for them to get the thing here, but that's where the movie can play a major thing, because first of all it's entertainment type, communication, where people are kind of watching it, and if it's done correctly, then you really get a lot of, historical moments that are not just, a sermon that somebody is preaching from over the TV or something, but you really watch it. Like recently, there was a documentary that came out just like a couple of weeks ago. It's called The Raid. It's about the history of the longest raid in this conflict, and actually I think they say in the history of Ukrainian paratroopers that went along the borderline of Ukraine and Russia, and that was the first time when the Russians shelled Ukraine from the territory of Russia.
Right.
Which was not only illegal, it was, and that's where they really, stuck in between the thugs, the combatants, and the Russian territory and the Russian shelling. So because of the movie, people can watch it and see some of those facts and really get the understanding. That's what why I think the movie making.
In politics, the movies can be a big propaganda, and also can be very useful to show the truth. And a lot of political systems use movie to show their truth.
Well, that's what Russia's doing pretty effectively.
That's great that now in Ukraine we have also some movie who show the truth.
And they forbid to show the Russian movies, especially Russian military movies and movies about the police and all those things, because they propagate the.
You did also another movie, and I saw Ill Generation. What is that? This is a link with what's happening in Ukraine, or
no,
totally different?
It's totally different. It was a movie I did just after I finished film school. It was a independent sci-fi fantasy film.
About rockers?
No. It was just kind of post-apocalyptic, kind of comic book-esque quest story. It was, I would say, an experimental film, that I made with my friends, an independent film.
And that was one of your first movie?
It's my first feature-length film, yeah.
Wow.
Because I did some shorts in school before that, but that was the first.
Is it similar to Back to the Future?
I wouldn't say so.
So it has to do the travel into the, October 21st, 2015?
Yeah, no, it's more of an alternate universe.
All right.
I like that sci-fi fantasy creativity because it just gives you some freedom to experiment and think of some interesting ideas that aren't aren't bound by real world rules, and
Okay.
you know, gives your imagination a chance to really work. So that, you know, I always like that genre.
All right, that's cool. Well,
But now you have some project about some new movie you want to do.
Well, I also created this web series called NYC Rocks, which focused on the New
Yeah,
York City
I
rock and
saw
roll
that.
scene. And it was basically profiling different people, whether that be promoters or musicians or bartenders who are kind of in this rock and roll community in New York City. And out of that, I picked one band I decided to film over a period of time and focus on. And I'm just finishing a documentary about them. So I want to put that out there too, as these kind of really authentic rock and rollers trying to keep it together and you know, make something happen for themselves. I mean, that's
All right.
also something. Rock and roll is another topic that interests me. Something, you know, and I wanted to get away from all the Ukrainian stuff too, just because I started being pigeonholed as, you know, just Ukrainian related filmmaker. And
well, at least
you know,
for the sake of this show, it's good. You are a Ukrainian filmmaker, but then in the rest of your life you can do whatever you want, you know. But seriously. We would be looking forward to see the movie, and probably we'll come. We'll come to
Send an
the
invitation, we will come, really.
Yes.
21st of November, eh?
Yep.
At the American House,
America House
in English,
in English.
Yes,
with
yes.
subtitle
Not
in Ukrainian.
French. No.
Subtitles in English of Ukrainian. Yeah.
All right. So yes, and hopefully you'll join us as well. And well, time is up.
Yeah.
So we've got to move on. All right.
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. It was United Country UAT time by First Ukraine. Our guest was Damian Kolodiy, a program director of Kinofest NYC.
Olivier, Vedrine and Sergey Velichanskiy were working for you in the studio. Stay with us and we will show to you the real Ukraine.
Thank you for being with us. Have a good day and see you soon.